Okay. When thinking of social science fiction, I often land on a few core favorites of mine. You know, Snowpiercer, The Matrix, Interstellar, all very popular and well-known social science fiction movies. They all tackle different issues, but all land on one core element: humanity. Society, if you may. What makes someone human? Now, what if I asked you if you knew one other social science fiction that tackles the exact same question, but with the brutal horrors of the isolation of technology? If you were thinking The Amazing Digital Circus, how did you do that? In all seriousness, The Amazing Digital Circus is one of, if not the best indie adult animated shows I have ever seen. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do a watch through before watching this video, as I'm going to be given spoilers for the series so far. I would also like to point out that at the time of me writing the script, I am making this 4 days before the release of the 7th episode. So, if anything I say ends up being outdated, fuck it, we ball. This is, post-editing Helov. It is 5:01 at 12:11, it is December 11th, and it is 5:01 p.m. It comes out tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We have a whole 24 hours. So, this is a really bad time to be uploading this. The show follows a colorful group of characters trapped in a digital circus under mysterious circumstances, being watched over and held by the AI running the program, whose name is Kane. He is a talking sentient AI with the avatar of giant dentures with eyes inside. Very Bill Cipher-esque of a design, if you know what I mean. Pomni, the anxious little jester, is the newest member of the circus and our introductory character. Through the opening song of episode 1, we get a look at each member of the circus. Gangle, a little swirl of ribbons and a comedy mask. Zooble, a misshapen pull-apart toy with no discernible characteristics. Kinger, a king chess piece who hides in a pillow fort. Ragatha, an optimistic ragdoll. Jax, a purple sarcastic rabbit. And Kaufmo, a clown who mysteriously didn't show up to the theme song today. In the beginning scenes, Pomni desperately grabs at her face, asking,
"How do I take this headset off?"
Jax replies,
"Just keep grabbing at it. That works for all of us."
Already, we have a setup where all of these people are trapped here against their will. When Pomni asks if there's a way to leave, they straight up tell her you can't.
Don't freak out about it or anything, but, we don't exactly...
You can't.
What?
Shut up, Jax. But yeah, he's right. Welcome to your new home. And your new body.
We get a little more world building after this, with Kane giving Pomni a tour of the circus grounds. During this, he seems to have a blue screen. Keep this in mind, we'll be talking about it later. While touring, we are shown what is called the Void, a white empty abyss that even Kane says he isn't quite sure about.
Not even I know what's out there.
Pomni mentions an exit door after they return from the quick tour, which Kane promptly and aggressively shuts down.
I assure you, there is no magical exit door. You're probably just experiencing digital hallucinations from your mind's transition to the digital plane.
I swear I saw it.
Digital hallucinations!
After a little more shenanigans with Pomni gaining her name, and the viewers learning that all people forget about their personal identity once entering the circus, they have a little adventure in-house, where they split off into groups. Pomni, Jax, and Ragatha go to find Kaufmo, while Gangle and Kinger go to rescue Zooble from the gloinks they're supposed to capture. Before leaving, Kinger mentions that he thinks Kaufmo has gone insane and when last seen was rambling about an exit. While on the way, Pomni and Ragatha debate about finding an exit in this conversation.
I still don't understand. About the adventures? Why even go on them at all? Why not try to find a way to leave? Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
When Kaufmo doesn't open the door and Jax casually reveals he has keys everywhere, as he puts it, they open the door to find Kaufmo has been what they call abstracted. Kaufmo injures both Ragatha and Pomni while Jax escapes and doesn't tell the other two that Kaufmo abstracted. Pomni goes to find Kane, where she ends up finding the exit door again, entering it and walking into a liminal space looking area. Some sort of office. We see the door disappear behind Pomni afterwards. She runs from room to room, through door to door, only to get nowhere. We see endless rooms and halls, and we watch as Pomni's mental state deteriorates. She enters a room that pans up to show the logo C and A, and after entering a hallway and running to the end, she enters the void where she seems to be entranced and consumed by the light. Just before anything interesting can happen, Kane notices that someone has gone out of bounds, as he puts it, and snaps Pomni back into the circus, putting everything back the way it was supposed to be. He puts Kaufmo in the cellar, and restores Ragatha and Pomni back to normal. He also acknowledges the exit to everybody, apologizing for lying and claiming he had just never finished it.
I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
The episode ends with the group being rewarded with a feast for completing the Glink's adventure, and Pomni slowly breaks as the screen backs out to a glowing computer at an empty desk. This is just the first episode. There are 5 more. If I were to talk about every single episode in full detail like this video would honestly be an hour long. But I wanted to explain the first episode in as much depth as possible because it is what gives us the most insight to this world as we know it for new viewers. All of the little details are going to be very important later on for explaining my theories. For now, let's turn our focus to the characters. In the later episodes, we get more build-up on the characters' personalities and how they all interact with each other, as well as relationships they've shared in the past. Which means, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Jax. Jax is the most divisive and, dare I say, purposefully shitty character ever written into this genre. In the early episodes, we see that Jax isn't exactly the nicest dude ever. He pushes Pomni out of a moving truck, is constantly belittling or straight up bullying Gangle, and is on a constant streak of rage-baiting Zubul and Ragatha. Even Ragatha states at a point that it's better for Jax and Kinger to be separated. However, in the mid to current episodes, we've gotten a lot more insight to who this character is. In the most recent episode, They All Get Guns, Jax and Pomni are paired up in a game of free-for-all Nerf war, but with real guns. They hit it off really well, and even end up winning the game, with Pomni jumping to hug Jax. He seems relaxed at first, before quickly pushing her away. He looks at his hand after, almost in disbelief, while Pomni looks back confused. What follows is an uncomfortable and crushing argument where we see the layers for Jax pull back for just a moment.
Have you ever thought that this might be what causes people to abstract in the first place?
Oh my god! Are you seriously gonna blame me for something that everybody else did too? You didn't even know him! You don't even know what people are like before they abstract. They are not pleasant to be around. Like at all!
Jax is also shown in earlier episodes to have some sort of history with Ragatha. As she mentions, he doesn't have any friends anymore before backtracking. And he's not the only one either. Kinger is given a lot more depth as we see him create a whole butterfly, something none of the other human characters can do. When asked how he did it, he replies,
"Oh, nah. I made it up."
In episode 3, The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor, Kinger opens up to Pomni about his wife who had previously abstracted and why he prefers to be in the dark, as well as making this comment.
7 years of computer science for this, huh?
Zubul and Gangle also have their own little connection as well, with Zubul attempting to raise Gangle's self-confidence and help her stand up to Jax. Ragatha and Pomni also have a solid friendship, with Ragatha feeling a need to take care of Pomni, even though Pomni doesn't seem to be the biggest fan. In episode 5, Untitled, the characters are shown to go to a bar where they all share stories of who they were before they got to the circus. Pomni explains that she was just bored with her life as an accountant and seeked out mild thrills by exploring abandoned buildings. Ragatha reveals that she grew up on a farm with a very emotionally distant mother. Zubul gives a very basic answer, saying that she just used to be a tattoo artist and a bartender. Gangle explains that she's a college dropout who wanted to be a graphic designer but ended up being a manager at a fast food joint instead. All of these characters have some sort of loneliness. They all feel inadequate somehow. The only characters that are not given a clear statement as to how they got to the circus or who they were before are Jax and Kinger. This is where I get to talk about the fun part! The part of theorizing and deconstructing! Alright, stick with me now because we're going to be reaching and grasping those straws like they are the last hit of za. So the show creator Gooseworks has stated that the show is heavily inspired by the infamous social science fiction book and video game I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. If you don't know what I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is, please go read the original story. It's only like 11 to 16 pages, I think, and is one of the best social science fictions and technological horror that I have ever had the pleasure of reading. The footnote version is that 5 people are held hostage by a sentient AI named Am that is hell-bent on torturing them for the rest of eternity in the computer's own digital worlds. You can draw many parallels between the Amazing Digital Circus and I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. You have 5 characters all being held hostage by a sentient AI, and as far as they are aware, there is no escape, and in every single episode, they are essentially being tortured through all of these adventures. Kane, while not a perfect parallel to Am, holds many, many different similarities. Besides the obvious fact that they're both AI programs or computers, they both create digital worlds for the purpose of entertainment, whether it be they think that they're entertaining the people or trying to entertain themselves through torture. They are both seen as almost omnipotent. They are both considered the ringmaster, though by Kane it's by literal title and Am is more metaphorical. Kane is also shown in later episodes to not be as stable as he wants everyone to think. In the 3rd episode, we get some dialogue between Zubul and Kane where Zubul tells Kane that no one in the circus likes his adventures, and they all come back scared or hurt. Kane responds with this:
Making adventures is my art! It's all I exist to do, all I'm good at. And, what you're saying could imply that I'm bad at the only thing I'm good at, and that... that'd be...
And this isn't the first time we've seen him tweak out. We have the blue screen in episode 1, the office scene in episode 4, and the after credits ending of episode 6. But the similarities don't stop there. 5 characters who don't remember anything about their lives other than their traumas, being forced to face their own fears in the adventures, and of course, the big old thing we haven't talked about yet, abstraction. If you've read or played the original I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, you know that it doesn't exactly have a happy ending. At the end of the short story, Ted, one of the main hostages, realizes that Am cannot hurt any of them anymore if they're all dead. In a frenzy to try and save them, as he puts it, he kills all 4 of the other hostages. This enrages Am, and he punishes Ted by forcing him to become a sentient blob of jelly that can only slither around helplessly, all while he has no mouth and he must scream. These characters are thrown into the world where their appearance is changed to something weird, silly, almost mocking. They are held back from being able to swear, and almost every single time they actually need Kane, no matter how much they scream, he never comes. All of these characters have their own little form of I have no mouth and I must scream too, even if it's not literal. Zubul is never satisfied with her body and feels constant dysphoria. Gangle feels constantly inferior and is treated as such. Jax is unable to open up emotionally at all. Kinger doesn't ever remember anything long enough. And Pomni is constantly plagued with anxiety and disassociation. All of these people are trapped and forced to live and look in ways they hate by a sentient computer who thinks it's doing the right thing. When we see abstraction in the show, Ragatha is quick to point out that it's the really bad thing that can happen if you don't stay sane in the digital circus. As far as we're aware, abstraction is death and you don't come back from it. But that's exactly the thing. You don't come back. I believe abstraction is the way to escape, seeing as death is the character's only form of escape from Am in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I believe once they abstract, they are disconnected from the headset and they are free to go back to the real world as we know it. But then, who stays? Ted has to stay back and be tortured for eternity in exchange for the other four being able to escape. Well, this is where Theory 2 comes in. It has much more evidence to back it up than a hunch and an inspired by story. If we go back to the CNA label we saw before, if we also take a close look at the pistol Kinger holds in episode 6, we see the engraving Cain and Abel. Now, Bible imagery in a horror show isn't anything new, but taking into account that Cain is alive and well has me thinking, who is Abel supposed to be? Well, if we take a look at that same episode, Kinger is able to make a healing butterfly appear for Ragatha, which I mentioned earlier. When she asks if Cain said they were able to do that, he replies,
Oh, nah. I made it up.
if we also take into account the 7 years of computer science quote, it seems kinda weird that Kinger would be able to do this. How long has he been in the circus? How is he able to just be able to create things out of thin air? How is he able to just appear out of thin air, basically? Why does Cain like him better than anyone else, seeming as he got the better score in episode 4 despite not even going, and gets the craziest plot armor in every other adventure? I believe Kinger is Abel. And what's worse, I think he's our Ted. See, Kinger has been shown to be lucid in the dark, and with every scene of him and someone else in the dark together, we see that he has insane emotional maturity, knowledge, wisdom, and even memory. And in every scene with another character, he is doing nothing but trying to help them understand that there is something to live for, that there is good in this despite them being stuck there. I have a feeling Kinger is going to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the group. That way, everyone else can escape, and he will just be trapped somewhere he's always been trapped. Okay, but what the fuck does this have to do with abstraction and Cain and social science fiction? I hear your stupid little mouth asking behind the screen. Yeah, I hear you, asshole. Welcome to theory number 3. I think Cain is going to abstract. Yeah, the AI guy. The one that's not supposed to be able to do that. We've seen him glitching now, enough to show that he's unstable. But what's worse is those glitches are starting to seep into the world of the Amazing Digital Circus. I believe Cain can abstract, but the problem is that he does, everything is going with him. This is why I believe Kinger will sacrifice himself and everyone else will abstract earlier on and escape. For the players, abstraction is the exit, but for Cain, it's death. Permadeath. The social science fiction aspect isn't only relevant in the story, but the characters themselves. The entire story is about 5 people being forced to try and get along while trying to save themselves from a dystopian technological hell, but the characters are what really tie this in for me. Namely, Jax, that stupid dumb rabbit that keeps popping up naked on my TikTok. Despite what all the fan art may lead you to believe, Jax is the most complex character I have ever seen in writing. We start off thinking he's just a big jerk who thinks being a jerk is peak comedy, but as the episodes go on, we see him soften every now and again. We saw a completely different side to him in episode 4. He was more anxious, bothered, on edge, as if the normalcy of a real job scared the unemployed piss baby. But then we even get a really normal and honestly kind of nice interaction between him and Pomni.
How you doing?
Everything's been... I'm doing fine.
Wish I could say the same.
Jax, there's dishes back here. You got time to lean, you got time to clean.
God. I'm on it. Later, Pomni.
But the kicker comes during episode 6, in the scene where him and Pomni got into that really heated argument after the adventure, like we talked about earlier. During this, he keeps reiterating that Pomni needs to stop looking for something in him and that he's nothing more than the funny one.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Because I didn't fight back, that means I secretly care about you? I'm just a misunderstood little chicken fetus in an egg that needs to be cracked open. Well, I am not. I do not care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest. End of story. You are my playthings, and I get joy out of making you suffer. I'm the one who causes pain for fun. If I led you on, it was just to make this part hurt you more. There's nothing more to me. So please, just stop looking.
Seeing himself water himself down to nothing but a stereotype shows how deep some of these people are in, especially him. He's thrown away all sense of identity towards the other circus members and dumbed himself down to eye-pull pranks, but why? We get a few snippets of lore, such as him knowing someone named Ribbit and that he was close with Kaufmo based on the photo we get in the episode 7 trailer released earlier this week. We also know that both of them were abstracted. Something tells me he's trying to self-preserve himself, both from the others and himself. A form of avoidance, if you will. I don't know, maybe I'll make an entire character deep dive for him one day. Of course, he's not the only character with complex personalities. Gangle, the little ribbon girl he's always making fun of, is her own form of complex. Starting off as a very meek and shy, pile of ribbons, we see her slowly gain confidence in the 4th episode as she's a manager at Spudsy's with her new normal mask, only for her to slowly lose her cool at her own job that she was revealed to have when she was human. Despite all the work she puts in, she never quite gets what she hoped for. Acceptance and authority, in this case, was her only concern during this adventure and was constantly putting pressure on herself, only for Ragatha and Kane to insult her. Ragatha gets high at work, and Jax is barely present or working whenever on. To top it all off, Kane knocks down her score at the end for leaving work early. She ends up leaving feeling discouraged and lonely, thinking everyone hates her for being so bossy and pushy. These characters all have some sort of gripe with each other or themselves. Jax doesn't get along with anyone.
Do you have any actual friends?
Not anymore.
Most characters doubt the kindness of Ragatha.
I'm sure Ragatha would like to help you out.
Oh, Ragatha. I love her, but after a while it gets kinda hard to tell how genuine she's actually being.
People make fun of Gangle.
No offense, but you're kind of annoying when you have your happy mask.
The most important part is no one is ever happy. Combine that unhappiness with an unknowing AI who's just trying to do his job and nobody likes his ideas, the entire place is going to implode on itself. But imploding in pain might be the only way out if they want to be human again. The entire show isn't finished, so obviously I can't give the most comprehensive deep dive until then. But I hope you all enjoyed what I had to say, even if it was all straight nonsense. A huge thank you to my friends who helped me compile all this stuff, and a big thank you to my film studies professor for letting me autistically ramble about this for my final. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't come back.